What was with the symbolism, if any, with the color changing all throughout the movie?
The book is very much an interior monologue of the character of George. He goes through a range of emotions in his mind. In the book, there is actually not a plot, there is not a suicide, there are not a lot of things that happen in our film. So it was a way of helping the audience feel what George was feeling. George, at the beginning of the day, is deeply depressed, doesn't see anything. His world is absolutely flat. As he goes through the day, he's really pulled by the beauty of the world. And by the time we get to the end of his day, he's been re-energized. He's living actually in Technicolor. Everything is so sharp. He thinks he's looking at things for the last time. So he's really looking for the first time in a long time in his life. And that was what the color surges were for, or were about. Yes, sir.
Hi, it's a great movie. It's a great movie. Congratulations, beautiful performances. But I'm interested in, Julianne, more whether you based your performance on any particular British dames.
You know, I have a couple of friends that remind me of Charlie. I wanted a particular, I mean, Colin and I talked about this too, because I was sort of nervous. I wanted a particular kind of sound. I wanted her to sound, there's a kind of a loose, party-ish kind of sound that I was after, and Colin said that I was on it. You know, the one person, you're gonna laugh, the one person I listened to a lot was Tara Palmer Tompkinson, who is not the right era, but has a fabulous voice, and very round, and kind of like, you know, so that was one of the things that I listened to again and again. But I also felt that this character was kind of familiar. This is a relationship that I think a lot of us have seen in life, and it's not always depicted in film. And it's very warm, and it's very loving, and it's been a very, very long-term kind of relationship. And it's, you know, it's a little lopsided too, because Charlie's always hoping for something more. And I like that it's not resolved, that she continues to kind of reach for him in this way. But it's also, yeah, so I felt that there was something very, we've all seen it.
Yes.
Hi. I just wanted to ask a question about color again. When they were looking at the sharpeners, there was discussion that blue represented spirituality and the red was passion. And he picked up on the yellow one. And what do you think his mentality was, and what do you think yellow represented in that moment?
I don't know. That is straight from the book, so we'd have to ask Mr. Bishop. He's not with us tonight, so I'm not sure. And yes, we can make it.
Yeah, congratulations on the film. It's really beautiful. I wanted to know, I saw in the credits that Don McCarty was an advisor on the film. It was Isherwood's longtime lover, as you know.
He's in it too, I don't know if you noticed. We went by in the faculty lounge, we swooshed by and he says, "Good morning, George," and he says, "Good morning, Don."
Is that his drawing? In the,
it is,
yeah.
Yes.
I'm wondering what kind of information you got from Don and from both Colin and from Tom in terms of the sort of the details of their life together, Isherwood and McCarty's.
Well, we strayed a bit from the book, and it was important to me that Don felt that we still captured the spirit of what Chris had wanted. This was his favorite book. It was actually written when Don left him and moved to New York with someone else briefly for a certain period of time. And Christopher imagined himself as, imagined that Don had died, and he felt all alone, and he wrote this book. You'd have to ask Don, he's not here, he was with us in Venice, but he was very pleased, and which made me very pleased. And I think he felt very good about it. In fact, I know he did, so here's...
Don, I didn't get to know Don too well during the shoot. I got to know him much better afterwards. But one of the things he did say, even though he didn't personally give me too many details about their lives together, their life together, he did say that Isherwood understood the nature of adaptation, and that you have to go beyond the source material, and he understood film as something that did that, you know, with something like Cabaret, which went well beyond his Berlin stories, really. that was something that Don had very much at heart when he watched this usurp the master's original voice, if you like, and go through other people's process through other people's imagination. He also said that he invented the title, and one of the things that I found probably almost more useful in playing this than the book was the very beautiful documentary about their life together. Chris and Don, A Love Story, which if you can get hold of, yeah, it's a real 24 hanky weepy by the end.
Yes, on the aisle. Oh.
My question is for Tom. When you knew that you wanted to branch out into film, is this the story that you knew that you wanted to tell?
Initially, no. You know, the first thing I had to think about was, okay, I know what I have to say as a fashion designer. Why does anyone need to go to another film? Why does anyone need to go to one of my films? What do I want to say? It took me quite a while. I read a lot of scripts. I thought about a lot of things. I had 2 other books option that I was working on. None of them were quite right. There wasn't a message that I felt like needed, or a story that I felt needed telling at this moment in time. I've always been very fortunate and had a kind of intuition and sixth sense about things. One day I was driving to my office in Los Angeles, and I was thinking about George, and I realized, I read this book originally in the early 80s, and I realized that I thought about George a lot. And I went back to my office, found a copy of the book, picked it up, read it, and in my mid-40s, it spoke to me as a very spiritual book, which was something I had completely missed in my early 20s. And I realized I had just a little flash of, this is it, this is what I want to make into a film.
Thank you.
Do we have any up in the balcony that we can't see? Yes. You want to shout it out?
Thanks for coming to Toronto.
Thank you for having us.
I think everyone will agree that the costumes and the wardrobe in the film are really quite sexy. And I was wondering if you could tell us about how your work in fashion has influenced your work in film, and now how your work in film has influenced your work in fashion.
So for those of you, sorry.
The reason I don't, because, you know, thank you for the comment about the costumes. But for me, style without substance is nothing. And so that's just a veneer, a layer that helps define our characters, that helped define Charlie, that helped define George, that helped define the time. In terms of working in the 2 different fields, there are aspects that are more similar than most people would realize. An enormous amount of work goes behind the scenes in both so that the surface is smooth. In fashion, I'm used to working, well, first of all, both you have to have a vision, you have to have something you want to say. Some people may not realize that about fashion, but it is true. You work with a large team of people, technicians, that you communicate your thoughts and ideas to. You then try to encourage them, get the best out of them, let them do their thing and be creative, and at the same time steer and guide the project or the collection or the film into the vision that you had wanted. So it's a collaborative effort in both fields.
We have time for, I think, one more, if there is one. Yes, and in the back.
Sorry.
She's changed her mind.
Well, they won't hear you upstairs.
Being a first-time director, what would you do differently your second time?
What would you do differently the second time?
Oh God, I don't know. The one thing that I'm so happy I did was have great actors.
Well, I think to comment on that earlier question about fashion, you talked about the final product. I guess people appreciating it much like the film, and I know that I can speak for this audience that we truly appreciated the film, and of course you being here. So, like appreciating all of life's little gifts. This was certainly one tonight. So thank you very much.